Marci, thank you so much for being here to celebrate our 22nd Happiness Happens month with us. I feel like we're at a big milestone because we've got the two twos, but
Well,
I
congratulations. Congratulations to you for 22 years of focusing on this super important topic. And I'm really delighted to be here with you, Pamela.
yeah, well, you've been focusing on the topic too for quite a lot of your career.
Yeah, actually, about that same amount of time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So it's yeah, during May when it was Mental Health Month, I was kind of also doing posts reminding people that mental health also includes happiness, because I know some people that don't have to deal with the like depression or anxiety or the actual, some of those health challenges that are in the mental health camp, and some of them are still not happy. So sometimes even if you don't have those challenges, we still have to focus and want to be happy. We still
Yeah, I mean,
have
I think
to.
happiness is a continuum. So, you don't have to be depressed to want more happiness. I think we all want more happiness. It's the natural state. It's what people have wanted from time immemorial. Aristotle once said that happiness is the goal of all goals. It's the be all and end all of life. So no matter where you are in the happiness continuum, we all want to be happier.
Well, and I like to think of happiness a little bit. It's when you feel naturally good, and that's sort of how I define it in the sense of my book. But sometimes that is dependent on where you are. So sometimes happiness is a little bit like a little stair step. So we have the
Yeah.
31 types of happiness, and so it sort of depends. And I use this example a lot because I think most people can get it. If you've had a crying baby for a few hours or whatever, the moment the baby is just comfortable sleeping right here, and you know that they're content to some degree, you have a big sigh of relief, and that's happiness in that particular moment. Might not be happiness every moment, but it's happiness in that moment. So like I said, it sort of varies depending on our experience, and that's why we have the 31 types to help people notice more of it. So one of the reasons I wanted to speak with you today is to ask you to share a story about, I know you like being gratefulness and being in gratitude, and that's one of your foundations for happiness. And so obviously you apply it in your personal life. So I was wondering if you'd share us a story about, when gratitude and being grateful helped with your happiness.
I would be delighted to share this story with you, and it actually, it's really my very first happiness story in a certain way. It happened in 1987, and I had just broken up with a boyfriend. We'd been together for a couple of years. His name is Bob, and Bob and I were having a really nice, great relationship. The only problem was I knew deep in my heart that he wasn't my soulmate. He wasn't my life partner. And so I broke up with him because I wanted to make space for that right person to come along. And so it was a very hard breakup because there was nothing wrong other than I didn't think he was the one. Well, 2 weeks after we broke up, he met someone else who was a friend of mine, a woman named Holly, and they fell in love. Now, I didn't want to be with him, but I sure didn't want somebody else to be with him right away either. And I went into a crazy funk. I went into what was I felt like there was a knife that I'd been stabbed in the heart, and it was beyond anything reasonable. It was just this emotional, deep response of just deep unhappiness. I kind of got thrown into what I call the dark night. That was one of my dark night of the soul moments. Well, I was in this funk for about 3 months until one day there was a knock at my door, and I opened up the door, and it was Holly. And Holly said, "I want to come in and talk to you." And Holly and I had been friends before, so, but I invited her in, and she sat down and she said, "Marci, you are in a funk." She said, "And the reality is that you're focusing on everything, on the one thing that's not working in your life, this relationship breakup. And you are forgetting the other thousands of things in your life that are working." And she said, "I want you to promise me that you will do a practice for 21 days. Now, this was back in 1987, and nobody had heard about gratitude or anything. And I said, "Well, okay, I'll do whatever you tell me. I got to get out of this." She said, "For the next 21 days, I want you to write down 5 things a day that you're grateful for." And I remember the very first day, it was really hard. It was like, okay, I'm grateful that I had lunch. I'm grateful that I have arms. And I really was pulling at gratitude. By day 21, Pamela, I had completely lifted out of that funk. And I really had felt all of a sudden so much gratitude for my amazing life. Now, still, there was the pain of the breakup, but I wasn't focusing 100% of my attention on the pain. I was focusing on what was working in my life, not what wasn't working. And, there's an old saying, what we appreciate appreciates, or what you put your attention on grows stronger in your life. And it was that experience, that 21 days, that turned my life completely around. And I'll tell you the little ending of the story. I went on to form a women's mastermind group with Holly, and we became very dear friends. A year later, I was sitting in the front row of Bob and Holly's wedding, deeply, truly happy for them. And just 2 weeks ago, I was sitting in the front of Holly and Bob's daughter's wedding.
Oh, wow. That's great.
So I'm so grateful to Holly for having shared that gratitude practice with me so long ago. And to this day, if I ever start to feel like I'm getting in a funk, the very first thing I will do is I will do a gratitude practice.
Well, and I like that you shared that even gratitude is sometimes something we have to work at. Even people who have that philosophy, sometimes you hit a funk and you're like, what am I grateful for? You're like, okay, I'm breathing. Okay, that's a gratitude moment, which is a grateful thing. But it's sometimes even people that are in the happy camps, if you will, sometimes you have to put effort into it.
It's a practice. It's not I do it once and it's over. It's a lifestyle. I believe gratitude is a lifestyle. I wake up in the morning focusing on what I'm grateful for. My husband and I wake up every morning before we get up, and every evening right before we go to sleep. We spend a minute focusing on what we appreciate about each other. We share with each other one thing we appreciate about each other, and then we share with each other something we're grateful for the day.
I love that. So you gave our couple some a practice to start every day. So thank you for that lovely story, because I do love that, and sometimes I need to remember to make it more of a practice myself. So thank you for that. So I know that your book, Happy for No Reason, was a huge book, and lots of people are still reading it because it's easily, if you type in happy, it shows right up on those Amazon searches. So it's a very popular book. So I know that's something you still talk about and work on. I also know you have some miracle groups because you're helping people manifest and attract the things that they want to attract, even things they think are really hard. So do you want to share just a little bit about that with everybody?
Sure. So I wrote Happy for No Reason about 15 years ago, because I had worked really hard to get everything I wanted in my life and to get all my ducks in a row. I thought, if I get all my ducks in a row and everything's working, I'll be happy. Now, I say that I wanted 5 things in order to be happy, because I didn't grow up happy. I wanted a successful career helping people, a wonderful husband or life partner, great friends, a comfortable home, and the equivalent of Halle Berry's body. And yeah, I got 4 out of the 5. I didn't get Halle Berry's body, but I have a healthy body.
You look good.
I'm grateful. Thank you. I feel very healthy and fit and good, and I'll be 65 in a few months. So at any rate, I really worked hard to get all that to work, and I had a turning point moment. I had 3 books in the top 5 on the New York Times bestseller list at the same time. I had just given a speech to 8,000 people. I had autographed 5,432 books. My client had a massage therapist massaging my hands so I could keep on signing. On one hand, I felt like an author rock star. But after I signed that last book, I went up to my hotel room and I walked over to the windows, had a big, beautiful view of Lake Michigan. I was in Chicago. And I turned around and I fell onto the bed and I burst into tears. And I burst into tears because I realized I had worked hard to get all the things I thought I needed to be happy, but I still felt an emptiness inside. And it was at that moment I said, I got to figure out what it's going to take to be truly happy. And I started doing the research, and I found I'm sure very many of the same things that you found, I know, about happiness. I started practicing them in my life, and my life really shifted. And that's why I wrote Happy for No Reason. And what I mean by happy for no reason is having a deep inner state of peace and well-being that doesn't depend on your circumstances. So yes, things are going to happen in our life, and we're going to feel, people are going to die. We're going to feel grief, of course. Things are going to happen that aren't going to go our way. We're going to feel frustrated, of course. And in the midst of those, I believe we can all have an inner backdrop of peace and well-being. That is this deeper, lasting state, that those things are the waves that go on the surface, but that we have an underlying kind of ocean of peace and well-being. And that's really what lasts. That's what really is authentic. And in the last 10 years, I've done work around, I do a program called Your Year of Miracles, and it's about living in what I call the miracle zone. And it's that place where you're just in the flow and synchronicities happen and life just works for you. And what I've found is that the happier we are, the more we live in the miracle zone, the more that life works really beautifully for us in the way that we would want it to.
No, and in reference to, so my book, Practical Happiness, 4 Principles to Improve Your Life, one of the things we talk about is creating what I just call a ZAP map, which is principle 2, happiness zappers are manageable. And that includes everything from grief to maybe being annoyed because you're running late for something, your alarm didn't go off or whatnot. And it's really about how you manage those experiences. Yeah. Which determines a lot of your happiness. We all have them, everybody has them, but creating a plan to manage them and knowing you have that inner fortitude to manage them is so important.
And building your own emotional immunity. It's just like we want a physical immunity so that when there's viruses around us, we don't catch them. It's the same thing when you have a deep emotional immunity.
I love that word.
Things happen around you when people are not as nice as you'd like them to be, or when things don't go the way you want them to go. You have built up your emotional immune system so that it's more water off a duck's back to you. You are strong enough to handle what shows up.
Yeah, and also I think the probably healthier your emotional immune system is, just from what you said, you also don't even notice some little things. I was recently spending time with some people, and I remember sometimes listening and I'm like, wow, a lot of judgment here over nothing that impacts you. just like, because like I don't even know, like they would talk about something about a person said, and I'm like, I didn't even notice it in the context that they were taking it. I just took it as they were sharing something about their life, and so whatever, it's their life and I can wish them well and with it. But it was really it was just, like I said, it was interesting. And I think there is a lot of that happens, and I'm always a little bit more under the piece of like, if you're happy with what's going on in your life, I'm just going to be happy for you. I don't need to think about it beyond that.
Yeah. It's a matter of where you choose. There's a principle about choosing where you put your energy and attention. And you want to put your energy and attention in places that support your happiness and well-being. And sitting in judgment about other people is not one of those places. It's not going to shift your life. And, I think that we seek out what it is we're used to. We get addicted to certain experiences. And many people are addicted to an experience of unhappiness, or they're addicted to drama, or they're addicted to judgment. And what we want to do is we want to get addicted to happiness, addicted to love, addicted to acceptance, addicted to, just wishing well for others and for ourselves, and addicted to celebrating ourselves. I think that's a big piece that's missing for people, is their own celebration of who they are, their own experience of self-love.
Well, and we also just don't celebrate the good things. I think I read something on LinkedIn, I think today, that somebody was saying that we don't celebrate sometimes just being content and relaxing. We celebrate exhaustion.
Yeah.
more so than when we're doing self-care and when we're just
Right.
experiencing the moment. So I'm sure we could just go on forever. But so let's get to our final question, which is kind of back to the book Practical Happiness, those 4 principles. One is happiness is personal. So I'm asking all you guys to share, like, what is one of your happiness is personal, might not impact your spouse or your other family members or friends, just like something that just makes you uniquely happy.
Well, I have to go 2 different places with this because there really are 2 huge areas of my life. One is the work that I get to do and what I get to see and people's shifting is just so deeply fulfilling. I feel blessed every day by 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 what I get to spend my work hours doing in with people. Um, and then the other thing is just my own recent new thing that I'm just loving over the last couple of years is I'm playing pickleball. And I don't know how much you know about pickleball. It's kind of halfway between tennis and ping pong, and it's just a blast. It's a total blast, and I get exercise. Anytime I'm moving my body and getting my body energized, dancing, pickleball, hiking. I hike in nature all the time, and I'm just in heaven. So for me, that's kind of my personal recharge is is allowing my body to just feel the juiciness and energy of life.
That is awesome. And you are actually the second person I've spoken to that mentioned pickleball. So it's becoming popular or taking
The
away.
fastest growing sport in America.
Yeah, I think it has to be. Like I said, you're literally the second person I've spoken to that's like in love with pickleball right now. So I think that is wonderful. So thank you so much for spending this time with me and celebrating Happiness Happens Month with us.
Oh, well, Pamela, I'm so, as I said, really happy for great reason to get to be here with you. And, you know, I'd love to just, if I can, share one little quick thought.
Please do.
People often say to me, is it selfish to be happy, to want to be happier? You know, what about the rest of the world? And my answer is it's the least selfish thing you can do, because when you're happier, you're impacting the people all around you. And ultimately, I think you're impacting the world. And there's a beautiful Chinese proverb that sums up why I'm so passionate about happiness. It goes like this. It says, when there is light in the soul, there will be beauty in the person. When there is beauty in the person, there will be harmony in the house. When there is harmony in the house, there will be order in the nation. And when there is order in the nation, there will be peace in the world. And that is my prayer, my wish for all of us, that we know that light in our own souls, and through that we help create peace here on this planet of ours.
Oh, that is so perfect to share with. And I agree. I think a happy globe starts with every single one of us when we look in the mirror and feel our own happiness. That's what creates a happy globe. And it's also what solves difficult problems. Hostility really doesn't solve the problem. I mean, you can be upset that there's a problem, but when you go to the solution table, you have to do it from a positive place, or it doesn't happen. So I love that proverb that you shared. I'll have to actually write it down. So thank you so much. I'll have to add that to my quotes. Thank you. And I hope our paths cross in person sometime soon, and we can celebrate just saying hi.
Great. I look forward to that. Thank you.